Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha, Kwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth in sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return, and double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And as you see in the image, which I have presented to you on the screen, food prices are skyrocketing. And this is not a video that is based on assumption. This is not a video that is based on a conspiracy theory, which would make me a conspiracy nut, according to Mr. Nasty Nate from, aka Baron Samedi from IUIC. This is not a video that is based on speculation. This is a video that is based on experience and for what I've witnessed growing up in this society. Now, going way back, I would say to the year, I don't know, maybe 2007, 2008. I remember how one single Debbie snack would be 25 cents. So if you had 25 cents, you could get you a Debbie cake, you could get you a strawberry shortcake, you could get you a fudge round, you could even get a oatmeal pie, because they might have been wrapped individually, but they were still 25 cents each. Okay, remember when a gallon of milk used to be $2.75? Well, in my younger years, you know, when I was in the world, you know, I used to be big on eating cereal, not knowing that, you know, there were metals in it that would clog up your intestines, making your waste very dry, so that it's hard to come out whenever you go to do the number two. But I remember when I used to buy a whole gallon of milk, it used to be $2.75. Now, again, I would not recommend you drinking milk, especially this mainstream milk that they love to sell in your grocery stores, okay? Like, you know, the 2% milk, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I would definitely stay away from that milk, because it has been heavily defiled. It has been heavily defiled from, you know, milks being milked, from cows being milked so much to the point to where they start bleeding out of their udders. You know, But you know, the blood and the pus from the cows getting milk will end up in the milk. So to filter out the milk, what they would do is they would take the milk through a filtering machine. And the filtering machine would basically allow only the milk to pass through, but the pus that came with the milk would be left behind. And you know, I'm a little suspect about almond milk too, because almond milk could just be mainstream milk with vanilla flavoring in it. Again, I would not put anything past me with these Edomites. Okay. You know, you really have to question some of these different types of milk they have in the dairy section. But again, the point that I am making here is that milk used to be $2.75. You look at a gallon of milk today, it's $4.80 something cents. After tax, it's a little over $5. Okay. I mean, even soda, you know, when I was in the world, when I used to drink soda, okay, when I used to buy the 3-liter sodas, 3-liter sodas used to be as low as 60 cents. A 3-liter of soda today is like $3.85. And it depends on what you buy. Some sodas are like $1.50, which is still double the amount that you're paying compared to going way back to 2007. Remember when gas, you know, when I was 7 years old and my mom used to go to Shell's or the BP gas station. I remember when gas used to be 89 cents per gallon, 70 cents per gallon. You look at gas now, it's almost $4 per gallon, depending on what state you're in. In California, I heard that gas is almost $9 a gallon. And I would not put it past me, because when it comes to money, when it comes to gas, it's all about money with these Edomites. And I forgot the term that they use for people like that. People who just over and indulge in money and you know, there's another word for it. It's not greed. It slips me right now, but it's not something that I need to bring out at the moment. But you can see how the prices on everything is changing. Remember when you used to buy a box of Debbie snacks? I remember when I used to buy a box of Debbie snacks, like I'll use a box of oatmeal pies for an example, because I used to love eating oatmeal pies when I was in the world. But a box of oatmeal pies used to be $1.29. Today, especially here in Niagara Falls, New York, a box of oatmeal pies is I believe $2.99. A jar of peanut butter, you know. When we were children, our parents would sometimes make us a peanut butter and jelly sandwich as, something to snack on, something that you can eat. Okay. Something that tasted good and was supposed to be healthy for you, right? Because you had the bread, the peanut butter, you had the jelly. Well, I remember when a standard jar of peanut butter used to be $1.29. Okay, a standard jar of peanut butter in today's time will be $3.49. Jelly used to be 80 cents. Yeah, the grape jelly they used to put on your peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Yeah, the grape jelly used to be 80 cents. As low as 80 cents. So you buy some peanut butter and you buy some jelly, that's not even over $2. So back in 2007, 2008, 2009, okay, peanut butter, if you wanted, well, I take that back because I did say 80 cents, right? So, I mean, $1.29 plus 80 cents would be like $2.09 technically, right? With some tax, it might come up to like $2.21. But you see, some peanut butter and jelly, that's something that when you was in, when you was in the world, right? That was something that you could survive off of for a couple of days. Okay, you just get you a loaf of bread, and speaking on bread, bread. Me personally, I would not recommend you eating bread, but bread. Okay, I remember when bread used to be $1. I remember when I was a child. This could have been back in 2002. It could have been 2001, the year 2001, 2002, when my mom had first moved to Cincinnati, Ohio, to stay with her auntie for a bit. Don't need to tell you the reason why, but I remember when, our mom used to take me, my younger brother, and my younger sister to the bread store to buy bread. I remember when bread used to be 70 cents. Okay? You could get a whole loaf of bread for 60 cents, 70 cents, 80 cents. So if you was to get 3 loaves of bread that was 70 cents, that was $2.10 you was spending for 3 loaves of bread. Each loaf of bread, that was 70 cents. The bread store used to also have things like boxes of moon pies you could buy, banana moon pies, vanilla moon pies, chocolate moon pies, other types of snacks, like Hostess cupcakes. They used to sell the Hostess cupcakes individually wrapped. You could get those for like 25 cents. My mom used to, let us pick out whatever snacks we wanted, and she would buy it for us because it was so cheap. So when we read scriptures like 2nd Esdras, the 16th chapter, right, where it says victuals shall be so cheap upon the earth that men shall think themselves to be in good case. When we read scriptures like that, we understand that prophecies like that came to pass already, because going back to the year 2000, even to the years like 1995, 1990, going into the year 2000s, the early 2000s, the year 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, victuals were so cheap upon the earth during those times. So this is a prophecy that already came to pass. And Lord's will, I can do a alternative video to it. But victuals were so cheap upon the earth. One Star Crunch Debbie snack being 25 cents. You could buy 4 Debbie snacks for $1. And I used to do that when I was in the world. When I, cause my sweet tooth used to get out of control. I used to go to the corner store. I used to get like 8. I used to get to like 8 to 12 Debbie snacks. Okay, 8 Debbie snacks would be like $2. 12 Debbie snacks would be like $3. I used to buy like 12 Debbie snacks for $3. And I'm talking about the big individually wrapped ones. I used to get 12 of those big ones for $3 because they were 25 cents each. So when Esdras said in the book of 2nd Esdras, the 16th chapter, that victuals shall be so cheap upon the earth, that was talking about then. In the year 1990, the year 1995, the year 2000, 2002, up to 2004, 2006, 2008, 2009. That was talking about then. Victuals were so cheap upon the earth. But at the same time, what was going on? Even then shall evils be multiplied in the earth. And that prophecy also came to pass, because while people thought themselves to be in good case because of how cheap victuals were upon the earth, right? People thought themselves to be in good case because gas was 89 cents. Gas was like 90 cents. Rent was very affordable. Okay, we're talking about back then when rent used to be only $500 and something. You got you a decent 1-bedroom apartment, all that stuff for only $500 a month. And all you had to worry about was electric and gas and internet, and you was set for the whole month. So during the early year 2000s, okay, people thought themselves to be in good case because victuals were so cheap upon the earth. Gas, rent, the cost of living, food, it was very affordable during the early year 2000, up to the year 2009, from 1990 to 1995, etc. Okay, but then evils were multiplied in the earth. Why were evils multiplied in the earth? Micah, the 2nd chapter and the 1st verse. Woe to them that devise iniquity and do what? And work evil upon their beds. Because while victuals were so cheap upon the earth, you had the wicked, according to Job 9 verse 24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, in which we know that the wicked, according to Malachi 1 verse 4, are the Edomites. Edom would be known as the border of wickedness, which would make Edom Esau, who is Edom, according to Genesis 36, verse 1, okay, that would make Edom, who is the border of wickedness, the wicked. So, okay, so evils were multiplied in the earth because, like it says in Micah 2 verse 1, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. So while victuals were so cheap upon the earth, there was a conspiracy. There was a secret conspiracy that was going on in the shadows to basically inflate the US dollar through political and geo-conflict across the earth to inflate and then eventually crash the dollar. And we see that conspiracy, which these devils, the Edomites, which is the self-proclaimed white man, which starts with the so-called global elites who call themselves Rothschilds or Rockefellers, trickling down to their so-called elite family members, and then trickling down to the rest of their nation and people. These are the Edomites today. These are the Edomites, which are also known as the wicked in the Holy Scriptures, okay? And the rulers of this world, which are Edomites, the self-proclaimed white man who worked evil upon his bed, there was a secret conspiracy in the shadows to basically crash, to basically hyperinflate the US dollar through global political conflict, geo-conflict, and basically to ultimately crash the dollar. And what are we witnessing right now? We're witnessing that very same evil, that conspiracy, which they worked upon their beds, premeditated upon, right? Upon their beds. We're living that very same conspiracy right now. We're literally living in the midst of the so-called elites, these Rothschilds and their so-called elite families, right? We're literally living in their conspiracy, which they have planned, really going way back before 1980, et cetera, okay? Okay, really going all the way back to the 1700s, right? When Adam Weishaupt founded the Illuminati in 1776, I believe, okay? Even then, there was a conspiracy to set up a financial system that would inevitably be crashed through global conflict for a greater purpose, okay? Which ties into the Hegelian dialect, where you have a thesis and an antithesis, and then you have the synthesis. The thesis is basically the idea that is presented on the table. The antithesis is basically the opposing idea that exploits the flaws in the thesis, right? So the synthesis is basically the ultimate solution, taking both truths or ideas from both from both of the theses and merging it into one to come up with the ultimate goal. So the thesis, right, is the idea of America's currency being the lead currency of the world. Okay, that's the thesis, right? The American dollar, the American currency reserve being set up, which this will be the medium that is used to make exchanges, whether if it's to buy more time to live in an apartment via through rent, whether if it's to buy food, clothes, merchandise, cars, renting a car, etc. This reserved currency would be the medium that people would use to buy and sell. Okay, and then the antithesis would be, you know, well, this will be this will be a stupid idea, because inevitably, when the gold and the silver is taken from the dollar, eventually it'll lead to a devaluation. It will lead to it will lead to the dollar losing its force and its power over the whole world. So then what would the synthesis be? The synthesis will be, well, the best thing we can do at this point, which this is the synthesis, right? The best thing we can do at this point is do away with the American reserved currency, which is the dollar, do away with it and bring in a new form of currency, which will be digital. And on this digital device, everybody will have a UBI, and they will own nothing and be happy. And the UBI is an acronym for a universal basic income. So basically on this digital device, on this device, which will be linked to the digital beast system, okay, this device, which is also the mark of the beast, which we know to be the CHIP, this device, the ultimate plan is to put this device inside of the population of the world, so that they will be very easy to control, maintain, budget, and ultimately they could be a basically a living or walking commodity. Tradable, completely controlled, and basically they'll have no power over their life. So the synthesis ultimately is the New World Order. It is tied to the New World Order. So we see the thesis, right? People have lived and experienced the thesis via the American Reserve, which at one point was backed by gold or silver. And then people started experiencing. Now what we are experiencing is the antithesis, where basically the US dollar is losing its value because of mass printing by the US government, and because of what? Global political conflict. and global geo conflict, which geo is another word for earth. Okay. Okay. So right now, people are living and experiencing the antithesis. Where this dollar is constantly being devalued. And because of global political conflict, because of geo conflict, because of mass printing, and and when I say political or geo conflict, you should know that I'm talking about wars, all these wars that are being orchestrated by the small hats, all these budgets going into military operations, heavy artillery, military equipment, soldiers, jets, war machines, tanks, you name it. Okay. And all this is leading to the mass devaluation of the dollar. So now that people are living in or experiencing the antithesis, right? What's going to come next? The synthesis. Because it's only a matter of time before people really start to feel the squeeze on the mass or heavy devaluation of the dollar. Especially because of oil prices going up. That means ships that runs on oil that usually deliver goods, commodities, grains, merchandise, vehicles, clothes, and foods to the Americas from different countries. It's going to cost more money to put oil or gas into these ships. So what's going to happen? It's going to bring these these maritime trades to a stop, because at that point it's going to cost too much money to deliver these different commodities from point A to point B. And that's what's going to lead to an increase in food prices because of the lack of food being delivered to America, because America gets most of its, natural and organic foods from overseas. So it's going to lead to an increase in food prices. It's going to lead to an increase in gas prices, oil, and obviously oil prices here in America. And then people, right before you know it, people is going to be out on the streets. They're going to be protesting. They're going to be rioting, and they're going to be calling for a synthesis. You see, problem, reaction, solution. So what's getting ready to come next is basically the synthesis, which is going to be the new world order, because we're living in the antithesis right now concerning the American reserve currency. I remember when a pack of chicken, when I would say going back to 2006, right? Remember when you could buy like 12 pieces of chicken, 2 breasts, 4 legs, and 4 thighs in a whole chicken package, and that whole thing would be like $5 and some change? Remember that? All that used to be $5 and some change. Well, you look on the shelf now, and a pack of chicken like that is over $10. Over $10, right? Even the small packages of ground beef. The small packages of ground beef. And I'm not talking about the ones that come, the mainstream ones that come wrapped up. I'm talking about the ones that come in like the black styrofoam trays with the plastic wrapped around above it. Those type of small packages of ground beef are enough to fill up your whole plate, that you can mix with taco seasoning. You can put your own type of cheese on it, and it's Gucci. It's good. So yeah, remember when that used to be like $2.88 a package? Oh, now they're over $6. Even mayonnaise. Remember when Real Hellman's mayonnaise? And we're talking about the standard size jar, like the one you see on the screen right there. Just like the ones you see on the screen right there. Remember when a standard jar of Real Hellman's mayonnaise used to be under $3? They used to be like $2.88, and after tax it would be a little over $3. And if you really went to the grocery store on a good day, you could probably find a jar of Real Hellman mayonnaise, a standard size jar, like the one you see on the screen right here. A standard size jar you could probably get for about $2.43. Two standard jars of mayonnaise, and you'll be spending either a little over $5 or under $5. You try and buy 2 jars of standard size Real Hellman. You try to buy 2 standard size jars of Real Hellman's mayonnaise today, and you're going to be looking to be spending over $17. And that's just for 2 jars. So we can see how the Hegelian dialect is in full effect. Concerning the American reserved currency, we can see how we are living in the antithesis of the situation concerning the American reserved currency. We can see how the devaluation is happening and the reasons for it. And we can see what's coming next, which is going to be the synthesis. And as the U.S. government continues to cull the chickens, the prices on eggs are going to continue to rise, which eggs are used to make mayonnaise. And everything concerning eggs is everything concerning eggs, the prices on those are going to continue to go up. They're going to continue to kill off the foods that are lawful to eat. They're going to continue to kill off cows, buffaloes, you know, just like how the Edomites used to do it when they were calling themselves conquistadors.
Packard Road. Walk sign is on the cross. Packard Road. Packard Road.
Okay, when the conquistadors first came over here to America, remember when they used to kill off the buffalo supply of the so-called North American Indians? Yeah, you see? Exactly what I'm talking about, right? They killed off the food supply. Okay, there was a mass culling of buffalo when the so-called North American Indians were at war against the conquistadors who were calling themselves Edomites. So it's the same thing today. Esau is killing off the food supply. And basically, Bill Gates is hoarding up these different farmlands. Meanwhile, producing GMO foods and giving you GMO foods and pretty much telling you to be satisfied, be satisfied with candy bars that got bugs in it. They're telling you to be satisfied with a pink slime. Chocolate is not even real anymore. It's a bunch of synthetic chemicals put together to make the chemicals taste like chocolate. So you're really just eating chemicals at the end of the day. Seedless watermelon should not be a thing, okay? Every fruit should have seeds in it, whether if it's oranges, apples, watermelon, whether if it's a mango, whether if it's lemons, lime. So you can see where this society is heading. That's why, like it says in the Holy Scriptures, and that knowing the time, that now it is high time to wake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. Imagine shopping at Tops without a bonus plus card. You'll be spending $8.89 for one standard size jar of mayonnaise. With that, I'm gonna say shalom. It's on to the next one.